How y'all doing? It's Kick Nice. KLPC Holdings decided to go live today. Got some things done and was getting into some research about what I'm seeing on the news, everything like that. There's a lot of stuff going on that a lot of people aren't aware of on the geopolitical level. Not really. We know about the ICE raids, but a lot of people don't know that they vacated the $500 million Letitia James settlement against Donald Trump that came from a jury, everything. I ain't gonna say he's slippery because that gives him too much credit, but what I've seen and what I know from just following politics, first casually and now really being serious about understanding it and how it affects my life and the life of other people. And it's easy to get caught up in the violence and the kidnappings of ICE, ICE going into people's neighborhoods, their jobs, disrupting the economy. The tariffs are actually coming down. They kind of settled at 25%, so it's going to still cost everybody about $2,400 a year, everybody. And then there's tax breaks of $31,000 for everybody that qualifies for those new permanent tax breaks. So unless you're a millionaire, a multimillionaire, I mean, you can't just be a millionaire. You got to be a multimillionaire. You get about $31,000 more on your taxes back because of the big, beautiful bill. So, that's something that directly affects people's lives. Prices of gas, the steady. People look at that, but they understand it's been 100% spike in, beef, pork. And it's because of what he's done on the international stage that makes people scared to trade with us and scared they're going to be charged more or taken advantage of. And then they charge us more. We're a consumer economy. We don't build much. And that's their political talking point. And it's not that we don't build stuff because of democratic policies. It's because of capitalism eating itself. It's a foregone conclusion of self-consumption. When, the host will eat itself. That's what capitalism is. That's people are scared of socialism and all isms and all these other isms and communisms and all kind of stuff, but don't realize that capitalism, and it goes back into John Locke and the invisible hand of the market, kind of like a God thing. Like God's going to protect the market, and we're seeing now it doesn't work that way. Everybody at the top wants more. Nobody's going to stop and give the middle class a break unless it's legislated in. What happens is legislated in. This is people understand politics matter because that affects you when you have money and you're an adult and you're not talking about being a kid with all your idealism about women's roles in the workforce or being in the home or misogyny and all that stuff that people are starting to base their votes on is that. But to get away from it domestically, to understand what happens across the globe in respect to America being supposed to be the number one, the richest nation or the potential to be rich. We owe money, we got a deficit and debt. That's another issue that people don't understand. So it's above this conversation. So people who don't understand world economics, globalism, which Republicans have made people think that's a bad thing. Globalism is the way of the world. That's what money people we exchange with. The isolationism that conservatism is about gave us World War I and II, every war. Conserving their settler lifestyle where people worked for them and they took what they wanted. Laissez-faire, manifest destiny, white supremacy. It's that real. And people act like it's something that was in these old 1960s black and white films of people getting chased by dogs. No. In the workforce, everyday life is permeated by some level of racism. And I'm not talking about the Klan. I'm talking about institutionalized racism, discrimination in the job, in healthcare. in geopolitics, in the ranking structure of the military. Dr. Neely Fuller Jr. spoke about this in the 70s and created Dr. Cress Wilson, one of the writers of the ISIS papers about the psychology of black folks in America, a modern, postmodern, you know, genetic study of the culture that gave us white supremacy and the after effects. All those things, sex, labor, love, war, you know, everything, medicine in America has been based on a system, a hierarchical system. And that system, when brought to its conclusion, is what we have now. It's what people have been talking about when they say the decline of the West. I'm currently reading a book by Oswald Spengler. I read this book and it's called The Decline of the West, and it's something that most black intelligentsia, you know, scholars of black history, of world, global history, who know all the books, all of them. People think, like, oh, you can't know all the books. Some people can know all. Those are the kind of people I'm talking about. Read these kind of books. Oswald Spengler, The Decline of the West, written in 1918, talked about Hitler before Hitler was Hitler, and now it's talking about Trump. I'm reading this book. It's about the size of War and Peace, which is, you know, that's not literature I'm talking about. This book it's a historical exegesis from a German perspective who saw the rise of the SS and the brown shirts and Kristallnacht, and he wrote it, and it became his work, and he wrote other things too. Oswald Spengler, people think I'm reading a black Afrocentrism book. No, it's a German, a white German. I read books by white. I read books like Arthur, Schoenberg said, study your masters. Okay, I gotta go get my food. I'll be right back, guys. But oh yeah, I'll finish Oswald Spengler, The Decline of the West in a second. All right. I'm back. Okay. Oswald Spengler. Oswald Spengler was a German that wrote about about Europe and the decline of the West, which is presupposed by Greek, the establishment of Rome and Greece, which they were inspired by Africa, but white supremacists will make it think that the West was all built by white people. White people didn't exist until white people invented them in the 1500s when they came here. Well, actually, more in the 1700s, but it's another book. But the lineage of these people who felt like they were settlers and came here and were promised this land by God became the white aristocracy that the founding fathers they love so much, the slave owners. So these people was enslaving everybody. You want to ride over here from Ireland, you become an indentured servant for 7 years, come here, work off your indenture, then they give you some land as slaves. That's what they do. And so that happened for years and years and years. People say, oh, my people didn't own no slaves. Just because in 1965, all the top slave owners were like corporations, and these people who owned slaves during emancipation, those people were like Jillian Michaels said, 1%. Actually, they were closer to 5, but it didn't count all the other ones because only the people who voted could be in those polls. So the poor people who own 1 or 2 slaves, they got off scot-free in history. But anyway, they were like corporations. So in 1965, if you didn't own any slaves, everybody that went on a roll saying they were in a certain family at that date, all people that own slaves. But for 5 generations they did, but not at that point. Don't let white supremacy play with you like that. When you talking to these people, don't debate people. You only debate your equals. Everybody else you teach. So the remnants of these people who got in here and they were white because they became, they were indentured servants, working around black people. If you looked at 12 Years a Slave, there's a scene in that's what it's saying. It shows that Brad Pitt is a white man that's working on a house with Solomon, who was a stolen artesian, straight up a rich man, sitting there slaving because he got kidnapped. And they're talking about the differences between who need to be enslaved and whatever, and money and debt and all this stuff, and white people's trust for black folks. Who is this? Oh, okay. Oh, that scene it talks about that. But before that, there were Bacon's rebellions and different things where people were rising up against the planters, trying to get people voting rights. It's what we see as unions in modern day, and that's why the right wing is against it, because they're a white supremacist cult. So they broke those people up, and then when most of the people got out of indenture, they became they became the whip. They became the overseers, the officers. So who is this at my house? Oh, it's a delivery person. All right. Those people came the officers of the plantation, and those were the descendants. They were too poor to own slaves, but they were the people beating them, selling them away, and all that stuff. Those are the people who will tell you that, oh, my people didn't own slaves, but they were overseers. They were county commission people. They were people who were taking people's land and doing crazy stuff all the time to black people as for sport. People that were in lynch mobs. We see them in pictures now at lynchings, but people didn't own slaves. So remember, they get a pass. That's why I don't understand reparations and what was really going on. You got to go to the African American Museum in D.C. and that Obama made sure it happened. You'll see those kind of things. That's what he complained about. That was his issue last week. But what's going on is that those people, the remnants of those people, are who we see in the Republican Party. When the slaves were freed, they were Democrats. So don't let anybody twist and say, oh, the Democrats were Republicans. No, these people switch their names like they switch clothes. They're chameleons. So these white supremacy jumped in. They were the people, the Democrats were the ones enslaving people. Let's put that out there. They were the people who were enslaving people in the 1800s. After the Klan happened, they were Democratic. They were the Dixiecrats, went all through history. And then, because of the Civil Rights Movement and the segregation issue, they switched parties and became Republicans. Because most of these old people that that are 100 years old, you talk to them and they say, I'm a Republican. And you think about that. But you got to know the historical context of that. Martin Luther King Jr. and his father was a Republican. But did they hate people, black people? I don't think so. So don't let people play with that. You know what I'm saying? The Kennedy assassination has something to do with the switch over too. Also, it was a morphing. But today, politically, what's going on with these MAGA, the people who are intentionally, purposefully stupid and uninformed, just to find a grift, to gaslight people into so they can create an audience. You know, late stage capitalism is one of those effects. People are very vain, and they misuse tools that should be brought into to help them and improve their life. A lot of them don't like innovation. A lot of people try to put brakes on it through belief systems like religion to say, okay, we don't want to get out of control, so let's tamp down the technology. That's what Jew people do. That's what the Judaism thing is when there's the keeping the Sabbath and holy. You should see some of the documentaries I watch about the lengths that they go to keep the Sabbath holy. So because they can't answer a phone, they can't do, but they got these automations and stuff so that when they go there, they're not doing. They can say, "Oh God, I got around it. I got that's a loophole. So I'm keeping the Sabbath holy because the phone picked itself up and somebody just started talking. So I just started talking to them." But all those people can be easily manipulated. People who believe in stuff like that, people who are in cults and religions, people who go to church every Sunday and Wednesday and go in there and they got 5 kids and they swear to God that they're super holy and they got the highest regard, and they're not those people. Time reveals them, and they're people. All people are the same. Some people make mistakes and do stupid stuff, but when people try to virtue signal you through their faith or their politics, there's something, you know, it's a grift there, or it's an inadequacy there. People who go into religion are usually broken, and that makes it good. It helps people create beautiful literature and art. You know what I'm saying? Some of the most beautiful structures in the world are religious based. But when an organization gets intermingled with capitalism and vanity and prosperity, it goes left, and people learn how to manipulate you. That's who the Republican Party did. They said, we're going to emotionally trigger these scared white folks who know that they're living in an oppressive society, because that's what they're scared of. I was watching a video the other day. It was a Young Jeezy video. It's a song called All There with Bankroll Fresh. And watch the video. I showed my daughter the video because it's so cinematic. I want her to see the video. And it's a censored version. And the video itself is not, it's just, it would scare white folks to see that. Like, when you gotta just watch the video. It was after Bankroll got shot or whatever, and they released the song. I think they released it because he ain't in the video, so they must have shot the video after he passed. But it's like kids in the video, and it's like a Bentley going through the streets. I think they're in Atlanta, so they're in the South, but it's just Jeezy, people around them, and they got these camera angles and the colors, and it's not even colors. It's like the vintage look and the beat and the way that the scenes were cut. It's just dope. Like, I'm like, that's us. I'm like, man, that's something like this. And it made me think. And I was like, that's what white people are scared of. Right there. They'll see that video and they be like, man, I would never be able to, like, be comfortable in that situation. Because, like, if you watch the video, they're like just in a neighborhood and he's in front of a store rapping. But it's black folks and they move and they look kind of hard, you know what I'm saying? Like, but it ain't crazy, you know what I'm saying? It's Jeezy. It ain't crazy. And it's kids there. They just, everybody just so like low key cool. Everybody, you know what I'm saying? And they do shots and they bring them back. And I'm like, man, that like the directing of that video is just so dope to me. And I'm like, man, I it made me think about something. I'm like, that's what white folks scared of right there. They don't understand, not that he's a millionaire, who cares? But all those people, if you broke them down and asked them what they did for a living and how many kids they got and what their life is like, they just regular people. But white folks see us, especially like that, and be shook and scared like that. Because I remember, and it was a layered reflection. And I thought about, I saw the video and I was just thinking about all this stuff, and I was like, hey, I understand why they're afraid of that. Because I experienced it, and I understand it to the way that it doesn't offend me. Because, like, being black, you can't understand being black unless you're black. And it ain't as dangerous as you think, you know. But just like, when me and my daughter go out, we'll go somewhere and we be around all black people. Where we go, I don't know why it is. Like I live in a black neighborhood. I don't know where white folks areas are in Charlotte. Like everywhere we go, the parks, the jump parks, the mall. Like it seems like everywhere we go, it's just everybody black, and we fit in. But I done been with white folks like in the Northwest. It ain't. I'm talking about like in the South. Like I'll be with a white dude or a white girl or something, and it feel like the world be different. Like because you ain't in there. Black folks ain't relaxed around. Not even they ain't relaxed. It's just different. Like you don't feel, but it's a different feeling when you're black and you taking your black daughter and you hanging out with other black folks and they got the little kids that I know people stereotype that they bad kids, and all of a sudden they got the baby hairs and they got the lashes and they dressed in designer and they teenagers and they got that attitude and they in their phone. And I know that, like, not the media, just white supremacy makes it feel like those kids are bad kids, and because I done seen somebody look like that fighting online. And then I started to realize my daughter looks like those kids. And of course I'm not gonna judge them. So we went shopping the other day. It was the middle of the day, it was like a Tuesday. We were in the Foot Locker, we went to go get some shoes. And she was sitting down there because I was paying for them. So she sat down, she had a lot of bags. She was chilling because we saw these three little girls, not three little girls, they're like 14, 15, 16, had like all the, they was all made up. Like, but they had cute stuff. They had little shorts on and tank tops with little over jackets, and they had the lashes, they had the jewelry. Like they was little fly girls. They was all pretty, like three of them, and like we had saw them in pink because I'm a man in pink, and I'm taking my daughter to get like the smallest shirt she could find because that would maybe fit her. We found the smallest shirt and it still didn't fit her, a little skinny butt. So we went through there, bought a $50 shirt that didn't fit her. And these girls were in there shopping or whatever, and I saw them. But of course, I didn't speak to them. I'm grown. You know what I'm saying? They like teenagers. So I'm like, okay. And I see them. I'm like, okay, yeah. And they just roam through them. I'm like, okay, pretty little girls and everything. And it's pride. I have pride when I see little black girls that are cute because my daughter's growing up into that, and I'm glad she's seeing that. And I mean, I might not agree with the style, with the baby hair and all that, and but they was cool. You know what I'm saying? I know that little boys see them and they the hot girls. You know what I'm saying? So my daughter saw them too, but my daughter don't see me react to people like that. I just, I'm grown. You know what I'm saying? You're a child. So, and then I could tell they noticed me. I always notice when little girls like that notice me because I just walk by them talking to my daughter. We bumping each other. We laughing, and you know what I'm saying? People can always tell we having a great time. And we got bags in our hands, and you can tell I'm just buying stuff for her. You know what I'm saying? And she just on her tablet or whatever. She just in her element. So they saw us a couple of times because we went to one store and another store, and we went to all the little girl stores like Lovitz and Pink, and I even walked through Victoria's Secret and I realized where I was. I was like, oh my god. So then we went to Kid Foot Locker to get us some shoes, and the girls we had walked in there and they walked in there, and so I'm asking the lady. I see a shoe. I'm like, hey, can I get that in three or 2.5? And she went to the back and got it. And my daughter had her hands full, but she had some Labubu, so she wanted to play with that. So I said, go sit down, and I'll be over there. You know what I'm saying? She was like, over on the other side. And she's 8 years old. She ain't a baby, so she's sitting over there and she's playing with the Labubus. And then I'm paying, and 'cause they had the shoes. And then I walk back over there and. When I see it, I walk over there, those three girls are sitting on the same, it's like a flat bench, but it's enough for a lot of people. So they just sitting there, and they put all their pink bags down there. All their bags are the same. Like, it's like 6 bags from pink right there, and they're all the same size. They all look the same. I'm like, oh. And I'm like, so I walk over, and I'm like, oh, hey, babe. I'm talking to my daughter. I'm like, oh, hey, babe, you ready? I said, get your bag. And she looked around, and you could tell, like, my daughter felt cool because she was sitting with these 3 beautiful girls, like, and they all just like conversation, you know what I'm saying? I'm like, okay. I walk over and they don't acknowledge me. They don't say nothing. I'm grown. I'm their daddy. I'm their granddaddy. Like, so when I walk over, they like, and they just looking. They minding their business. And I walk over and I say, oh, And I started looking through the bags. I'm looking for my daughter's bag. So, and they ain't say nothing. And I found, oh, that's the one. I said, oh, okay. All right, you ladies, you have a good night. Or you have a good day. And they all like look up at the same time. They were like, and they smiled so bright and it was so sweet. And they were like, oh, thank you, you too. All right, y'all have a nice day. And I was like, all right, we waved it and we left. And I was just like, now, a person walking around, a white person, the way things is now, and we know, Karens, they coming out. They would see those little girls, the way they dress, and expect them to have attitude or whatever. No. They were like, they weren't even like talking to my daughter like white people come to my daughter. Oh, hey, how you doing? My daughter would be like, they would just sat down and started. She had a little boo-boo. They asked about it, and that was it. So they thought she was cool. They thought it was cool. And then she had a pleasant interaction with a stranger. And I wasn't there guiding it. I just came and got her. And they was in there obviously shopping. They had several little bags from that little expensive pink store. So I'm like, we doing good too. I don't know. Their daddies could be like me. They could be scientists and doctors. But who knows? But I'm glad that there are those that's in my age bracket that understand this and are helping to do something at a level that's above the ground. Of course, the immigration stuff, we can't stop that. They're going to come for those people now. That's just what they're doing. And all the other stuff, the tariffs, he going to do the tariffs. He going to disrupt the economy. He going to try to act like he's saving us. Okay. But you have to understand what's really going on. What happened. And how it's a long game. And how it's a lesson. And how everybody knows what's really up except the people who can't get past that second level of it. The second level is thinking that America's full of dummies and they support MAGA and all this other stuff like that. Okay. And then there's the other people who want to do the right thing and keep the Democrats in and keep the Republicans out of our pockets and our lives. And then there's the other people on another level, like me, like Dr. Mark Lamont Hill, Dr. Dyson, Roland Martin, Reese Colbert, Dr. Carr, who understand Obama. And this is the secret. This is what happened. And because I know people wonder like, how am I dancing in the fire with all of this stuff that's going on for the last 10 years? Constantly level up. Did never let nothing get in my way. Saw it coming. Because certain people have tuition. Everybody talks about intuition. And it's not really that. It's like your brain has so many of your old memories of things that you come into contact with. That's why it's important to read all the time. Just get it in your mind. And it'll go to the back. And you'll be in your subconscious. So you get an intuition about things because you remember certain things. And what it is that when you follow politics, just follow for like a year. Really, every morning, get up and listen to somebody. Not no coup. Not no person because you like the way they look and the way they sound on a mic. Talk about like Roland Martin. Get through his brash delivery because he could be hard to listen to. Just listen. And the issue will come out. Reese Colbert, a ghetto-sounding black lady that's a political expert. I know she has a master's degree in something, but I don't care. She's on there in the I think it's the Dane Cook show. They be cooking. Like, you gotta, and she talking about like you want to hear it, like cursing, all of that, and calling white people out, and white supremacy, all of that. And it's like, I wonder who is really where, because nobody's saying it, but I know it's there because I have that intuition about it. I know those things about the way people say things, the political moves that are made, the reactions. Kamala's smile when she came out to concede and walked off like she knew something, which she does, which who paying attention, they ain't said it, it's figured out, is that this was all started around the time that Crimea was taken over, we thought it was insignificant. It was just Putin taking an old territory back. When Obama was in Crimea, the Donbass, look these things up. This is something that I recently just really went down and now understand it, is that when Putin invaded Crimea, Obama was pissed. And I was like, why is he so mad about this? We worried about racism over here. They're killing people on tape, you know. That became there's been cycles. If you watch the news cycles, like, for some reason, I knew it was, I knew it was like this when I saw that for about 6 weeks there was a issue. And then it went away, like black people getting murdered on film. It was so many in 6 weeks that I made a video of all the killings. Like, they were just coming back. I'm talking about the graphic ones, because they used to edit it down and it became like blurred or something, and I would get it the day of. It was so many, and then it just went away. Then the school shootings, the church bomb, the church fires in Charlotte. Forever, I thought I thought the world was on fire. It went away. School shootings, forever, for 2 years, then it went away. Like, we solved it. I was like, man, they're feeding us that in a certain way. Look up Sinclair. Sinclair Communications owns all your little Fox affiliates. And then look at the script that they go through. I've done the research. So, aside from that, because it's not about conspiracy theories, just that's the way they operate when it comes to feeding information to low information voters and people. That's why they believe that their dogs and cats being eaten by Haitians. These people watch Fox News. If you're not stupid or an ingrate, you won't understand those people unless you read their material and be around them and engage with them, or at least be exposed to them. That's how you study your masters, like Arthur Schoenberg said. So what happened was, he invaded the Donbass, and what it is it's so close because Finland shares 800 miles of border with Russia, 800, and right there in that area, that Crimea is a hub, so they can watch NATO nations and watch that border and watch that whole area, so it can push into NATO territory. Because once he steps on that NATO line, all NATO comes at him, and he can't. Y'all might think Russia's this big. It's a lot of land with a couple of nukes. They ain't what you think they are. You know what I'm saying? They have the oil, so they have flow, money. That's why sanctions hurt them. But he took that. Obama's like, he was livid. Like, people thought, if you were paying attention, he was about to go to war. He was talking about it. Obama was talking like that. He don't talk like that. He was pissed. So they came to some agreement. He kind of backed off, but left troops there. And it was sizzling. It's like, man, that's it. He was testing the waters. And when Obama left, there's a picture of him looking down on Putin, because he actually met with Putin. And that, y'all remember, that's why people are like, oh, Trump's meeting with Putin. That's what they do. No, you're not supposed to meet with. He has been our adversary for 100 years, back to the Bolsheviks, like the Bolshevik revolution. You got to read these things. He's doing something, a legacy thing, because he at the end of his life too, he just want to do something. Putin is arguably the richest man in the world, more powerful than our president, because he controls states that don't have rules like us. We're trying to act like we operating in this, under this guise of democracy and being a good guy. People hate America. The media makes you think that people, when you go across America, people don't hate us. They feel sorry for us. We're like a joke. Like, it's almost like, oh, American, let's study you. I'm a black American. And when you're a black American, they're fascinated that you can deal with those people. And you realize everybody around the world looks at, why are y'all being ruled by these white Americans? Why? They're nobody. They make y'all think that they're the majority. They 10%. White people in the world, people who are of European descent, not white people, people of European descent, are about 13% 10 years ago, now they're 11. Declining birth rates in Europe. That's what this Keep America Great is, and the replacement theory, and all that shit is. That stuff they fed to them. The Russian propaganda farms. Remember, they went to they had congressional hearings on this. The hacking that y'all thought was, oh, it just got some videos on YouTube or some videos on social media to ask people to. No, they were bot farms, making people think that there's certain issues had more support, and then people come out the woodwork talking about, yeah, I support pedophilia. What? Because they think that, but this, instead of 5,000 people liking a post, it's really just two weirdos. And then that creates a cascading effect. Politically, that's what they did to these people sitting in their houses, losers. These losers, these dummies that can't get nothing right. Those kind of people living with their mama at 30. Never had a car. Never had a job, really. Those kind of people. Those guys who were so stupid they married some stripper and had 2 kids. Now she got them for life of alimony. Now they're mad and they're red pill. Or black guys who black girls didn't like them, but now they're manosphere and they're thinking Kevin Samuel's the Godfather and they hate all women and anybody with a baby or ever had sex before as a whole. Like, no. Those people, they garner all that anger, that American anger built by late stage capitalism, and say, listen, that's a voting block. We can also get in, we can guilt in the religious people, and then we can throw the racism in, and that's the cake right there. Religion is the icing on the cake. Jesus and the churches and babies and abortion, and then we're going to sprinkle some women's oppression in that shit. Hands made and tail, because really they want us to lead them. That's why the white women talk liberal and vote with their husbands. I've done that. I've done that work in my life professionally to pull that out of people. And I'm gonna tell you, the results are shockingly saddening. It's like 90% of them women, white women. That's who really made the results of the election for the 47th president look reasonable, because it was close. So here it is. Here's the answer. Out of all that history, all that about voting and the way it looks and all that shit like that, at that time, these hacking things cybersecurity was sucked. So Putin already had these people playing in there, messing with polls, messing with messaging on certain local news affiliates to see if that stuff would become part of the merit. It's a psyop. It's called a psyop. You know what I'm saying? To see if those people would actually turn into a voting block to make it look legitimate. It's the sample. It's the first what is it called? The first sampling. And they were doing that, and they were being tracked. You understand? Obama saw all this stuff happening, and they were tracked. The intelligence isn't what a lot of people think. Intelligence ain't this spy movie shit. No, it's cyber stuff. Understanding what people are doing at a certain time. Always having eyes on certain people. Like, people don't realize, like, the United States government knows everything that's going on in the world, except for the little small corners of the Middle East, deserts and things like that, and the Iceland and stuff like, Antarctica. They got surveillance on everything. They have global positioning. They can boot right on you. They can look inside your house if they want to. So they knew this stuff was going on, and they were tracking it. And that's why I was like, why we still got tension with Russia when Obama was in? Because they're not doing nothing. They ain't attacking us or threatening us. Because we were used to being threatened by Middle Easterners. People come over here doing bombs and stuff like. But no, Russia was on something different. behind the line, still getting money. Everybody thought they was just they were a sleeping giant. They over there doing their thing. They got cities, Moscow, they doing deals. They got jiu-jitsu over there. They do it. It's like our society, but it's just him. And there's uprisings. It's no like it's just as bad as America is. I go to these countries. I've never been to Russia, but I've been to other countries. I'm like, man, this ain't what they told me. This is cool. It's all right. So I'll be sleeping in a hut. I'm not. Air conditioned. Got to. But that was going on, and when Hillary was the forerunner to succeed Obama and keep Obamacare going and continue his agenda. And in that agenda was Russian sanctions. So Obama was cranking the sanctions up. Obama ain't a dictator, so he wasn't like 100% whatever, we're going to cut your money off. No. If you don't do this, if you do this, if you invade somebody else, if you're threatened to, if you fire a general, we have an investigation on you if a journalist died, we're going to cut your money off because we can't just go and arrest somebody else's leader. Doesn't happen like that. You can't do that. That's what wars are for. You got to understand this geopolitically. Understand this MAGA thing geopolitically. What happened was that he wanted to find a way to punch back at America and without going to war. War would destroy everybody. The world will be different. It's really a suicide pact if America and Russia go to war. It's over. Everything. Civilization, at least. So he went cyber. While we're talking about Homeland Security and Middle Eastern threats and everything, and really locked that down. You understand? Homeland Security locked that down. We didn't have an attack in American soil for, it was like 12 years or something like that. During Obama, there wasn't a single one. There wasn't a single confirmed Middle Eastern plot, and boom, he took out Osama. They knew he wasn't playing then. So this dude, he said, okay, I'm gonna work on the back end. He worked on the back end, started to see that he could influence certain polls and things like that and make it look legitimate. And then when he got his chance, he jumped on, because if you listen to Hillary during the debates, she's talking about Putin. You're his puppet. And everybody's like, oh, whatever. That's just Hillary attacking him. Everybody that's talking about Donald Trump was telling you the truth. Because they were already in government. They had access to all his files, everything about him. They know exactly who he is. They know that he in the Epstein file. They know everything. You think Obama don't know who Trump is? They're like, oh, Obama's stupid because he's smiling with him. No, that's a calculating politician, Obama. He read the books. You don't go at people like him who have no rules when you got rules. You gotta use the rules, use your mind, and that's what they all doing now. We got to suffer for you because if they come out and say, hey, he everything and release the files and show you that he got bodies somewhere, it just makes it okay. Well, what happens to the American voting system? Democracy is over because it can't be secured. But let me tell you what happened, because we're here now, and America is not as stupid and evil as you think it is, and you can't let the media legitimize it and make it seem like it is, because then people start acting that way. In the real world, everybody ain't like that. I don't see Trump people walking around pranking people. I don't see people pranking folks in the mall. Like, don't live on the internet. I love to watch the internet and understand what it is now. I'm like, man, I like the way they set up that shot. Oh, that actually looks real. Like all these people get shot in the face and all. If it was real, they would censor it and they would take it down. I've seen people get shot, like in apartment complexes. And they'll build a backstory. They'll make you believe something happened. But it's just that's what Putin took advantage of. The gullibility of people from what they see on the internet on those phones. They understand people's phones in their hand 24/7 and they watching videos. They're not just reading things anymore. Facebook, at least at Facebook, used to read things. Used to write dissertations and have long debates with people. But this is just like pictures and whatever. And with this AI shit, we don't know what's real and what's fake when you watch that. So assume it's all fake. That's how you get ahead. That's how you don't get caught in a trap. So with this, to wrap up this and what happened, because it's all coming and this is going to blow your mind. And this is the truth. Aside of all of it and what you think and how you feel and what politics you espouse, if you don't espouse politics, is that this is all done by Putin and is currently being done. Let me explain in really briefly. Because the Democrats and all the people that are fighting against the election interference and Russian involvement, Russia, all that stuff, they know what was done. They know what I'm about to tell you. But they can't say it because it compromises the integrity of people's faith in the election. Once we prove that he got in and he ain't supposed to be there because they changed everything, the Dominion, remember the Dominion Court? You think they charged almost a damn $1 trillion to someone for misinformation connected to the Dominion voting machines for nothing? Just because somebody talked shit about the company? That much? They breadcrumbing you, the Democrats, because y'all think it's weak. It's the only way to fight a bully of that size. A death by 1,000 cuts. Just got to keep going. Because this is what happened. And this is, I ain't going to even say, oh, it's my theory. This is what fucking happened. And if you pay attention, it'd be evident. And there's other people, they don't say it online and stuff and whatever. It's like we're paranoid about it because it is that layered. That he didn't win. And the last 10 years were orchestrated by him, Putin, because it had to look believable. So he started doing it during the Obama joint. During it, he started during that, because that was a secure election. We didn't have those. We had a lot of different things going on, and the security of the election wasn't an issue until 2016. That's when it came through. 2016. Boom. He's doing this, moving forward, and no matter what it was, he was going to, because he got his bots, and remember, this is the president of Russia. He has all the resources in the world. Make it look believable that he won. Because everybody in the street was feeling this Hillary thing and and clowning Trump, and everybody the next morning was like, what? Like, at that point, I was like, man, that ain't reality. That ain't Hillary Clinton. No matter what you think you don't know about Hillary Clinton, most qualified person ever to run for the presidency at that point. Ever. Even more qualified than Obama. True. Because she had government experience out the yin yang and she knew everybody. This wouldn't be happening. A lot of shit wouldn't be happening if they would have let her win. Putin put his finger in that. That's what they went through months of congressional trials that y'all didn't watch. Y'all didn't watch any confirmation hearings. Anything. It's laid out. They're just not saying it enough for the dummies in the back to get it. The smart people know that's what happened. So he got it. And Putin is, remember that picture, right? When Obama was leaving, a couple months, that picture said everything. Like, I read that, like, he's like, you shit. I was like, what did he do? I could tell he did something. Like, but what's the news article? And it's like, what was that look about? You know, Obama don't do shit accidental. And he communicates well in every way. Body language, everything. I'm like, man, he hates that dude. And you see the shit-eating grin on his face. Putin was like, his head down like a child, like okay, whatever. The bomb's gonna go off in a couple of weeks, you know. So this dude, he did that, and Putin's smart. He groomed him. He compromised him because Trump was supposed to do that Moscow deal. It got rejected, and then when he the Steele dossier, y'all see, you gotta remember that the Steele dossier happened, and when he was running, and Russia was seeing who's going to play with them. So Russia said, I'm going to release this dossier of these hookers peeing on you, because they have it on tape, because they comped him and gave him some hookers. Trump did. And they describe his penis the same way that one Stormy Daniels woman did too. You got to peep that. You know what I'm saying? It's corroboration. So that happened. And he had the tape. Let him know he had the tape. Like, hey, man, get out there and run. I'm going to make you president. Don't worry, I got you. No matter what. No matter how hairy it gets, you might go to trial. You might get indicted. You might get a mugshot. You might have to pay $147. You might get guilty. I'll make sure you never go to jail, but we're going to make this look believable. You're going to be one of this folklore. They're trying to create this folklore in their fake-ass white supremacist history of this great president who came in and kicked butt and took the liberals out and did better than Obama. American folklore. That's what they're trying to be. That's white supremacy at work. But that's what he said. Think about it. Look. Trump done been to the edge. I'm gonna get you impeached, but don't worry, you're not going to jail. They ain't gonna remove you. I'm gonna keep you there, because while you're there, you're gonna do everything I want. You're gonna be my puppet, like Hillary said, my puppet. That's what he's doing now in the Gaza Strip. Look at it. Everything that Trump is doing is what would benefit Russia. Think about it. In some way, everything he does benefits Russia, or positions America in a way to fail so he can become the superpower. He can't go to war with us. He did 4D chess on the American white voter. That's what happened. And he said, okay, and this is what's diabolical. He chilled out after Trump and let Biden win a real election. That election happened the way it should have. There was no interference in that, because Biden wasn't having that shit. They was on it. If he would have did anything. So, Biden won. And then, he knew Biden ain't going to be old enough to do it the second time. He know about Biden. Biden got things wrong with him that we don't know. Russian intelligence ain't no joke. So, he let him win. And Joe did everything he could. This man was busting his ass. Because he knew, because remember, Joe got elected and knew that it was because Putin didn't fuck around. So he got as much due because he knew Putin was coming back right after that. And that's what happened. That's how Trump beat Kamala. That was totally rigged. So because if they rig it, when they get in, they're not going to let the investigations go forward to... No, he said, once we get you in this time, it's game's over. We got it. Until you die. And then we're going to put another person behind you we got him compromised. The Russians that white folks in the 40s and 50s were so scared of, in the 30s, and all those, y'all let them in your government. Y'all put them in because y'all are so scared of brown people and gays and people who dress in, clothes that aren't, what you feel comfortable with. That. They got your money. They got your jobs. You got your charge. You got your kids. They got your schools. Now, if you want your kid not to be a dumbass, you're going to have to pay for them to go to school. Or you're going to send them to PragerU in one of these public schools that they're going to give you subsidies for, and they're going to learn about Christopher Columbus saving, Indian people and discovering America and shit like that. That's what y'all voted in. But like I said, this isn't what's supposed to happen, but it did. But you gotta remember, this isn't the reality of everything, because he's not supposed to be there, and the only reason he's there is because Putin put him there. That was jujitsu. The way he did it, he even let Joe win, and then came back, boom. Like, you really think? Come on, you ever? Everybody, he had already. It don't even. That's why it don't make sense, and that's what rips America apart right there. Because now everybody is paranoid about their neighbors. Who's the dummy? Who's the one who did this? Who's the person that's gonna be the one that flip out? like the brown shirts did. That's what Chris Stalling. That's what Trump studied Hitler. Trump studied Hitler. He had on his bed. He had on his bedside. I think his second wife said there's a copy on his bedside. He read it all the time, and he wanted it to be there because he was studying, and he got the perfect chance. And so while Trump is in, he's like, look, would Trump do these things that don't make no sense, and you all think that it's him old and in cognitive decline? I understand that's part of it, but he always has threats over his head. Putin has the Epstein files. He could just leak it and just be like, boom, you're done. But why would you kill the goose that laid the golden egg? Just have him keep doing the dumbest things in the world that get the sanctions off of Russia, put sanctions on countries he don't like, and tariffs on those people, and then destroy NATO so you can push yourself beyond Crimea, east. That's the play. And in cahoots with all these people. Because remember, Putin ain't nobody he can't touch. Is your boy Elon. That's the financier. Got to make it believable. Gave him that money. $250 million helped Trump win. You really think so? After he showed us he was ready to destroy the world before he was already the president, the worst. Really? And he told you what he's going to do. You're going to bring... No. That's why people are like, I can't... People ain't that stupid. But then you see these grifters out there acting like they believe in this shit because they know there's people who are contrarian and who actually is every kind of person you can imagine is probably on this earth. And a lot of them are degenerates. They just want the world to burn. They're nihilists. They're just cynics. Those kind of people. That's what happened. They use that small swell of, they amplify that small swell of support for Donald Trump by bots and bot farms and Russian information to make it look believable. So when they stole it, it's legitimized because it's built in the data, because there's a small subset of data that this was built off of, when most of the people that you interact with, that these dumbasses online who say the dumbest shit in your comment section, they're just bots. They're nothing. It's just an iPad that, randomly comments on the followers it has on a certain account. And there are millions of them. You see these bot farms. And they create their own revenue through you see these accounts with 5 million followers, and they got like 3 videos. And they're like just random videos. That's a bot farm. And they're creating money through TikTok. And the reason why they didn't shut down TikTok is because it would cripple the effectiveness of those bot farms. That's why Trump was playing with that. That was his threat to Putin. Then he brought it back. Because he was like, man, I'm just release the tapes. All the pressure of stuff coming up and staying in the media is coming from Putin playing and fucking around. Instead of killing off Trump, he used him. And now he's going to torture him for the rest of his life until he get what he wants, till this man dies. And then and he allows Russia to destroy Ukraine and NATO. Putin is a modern day Lex Luthor, whatever, Lex Luger, whatever. It takes a lot to see it all, but if you're trying to get in the game now, it'll just confuse you, because you wouldn't understand the progression of geopolitical missteps and the legacy of Obama. Obama really set that shit off, because Putin saw that what happened and the rise up of everybody in America and really get behind Barack Obama meant that it was going to allow folks access aside from the white supremacist structure that Putin exploits. Putin couldn't take Kamala Harris. Putin couldn't take, a Barack Obama. He couldn't take that because he wouldn't have his influence, because we actually have scruples. We actually have morality that we base so we won't hurt our people. White folks don't care who they hate. White supremacists, white folks, and Americans don't care who they hate or who they hurt. None of them. You can tell by the crazy pics of his cabinet, of Trump's cabinet. It's just like, man, whoever's gonna ride with me and I can throw you under the bus later, come on. I'll give you everything you want until it's time for me to call in your bill. Make a deal with the devil. That's what white supremacy has done with America since its inception. It played with the devil, dance with the devil, and the devil is Putin. He's doing this. He couldn't have compromised a Kamala Harris, a married woman. He could compromise a dude with 3 marriages and 3 baby mamas and 5 kids and a known rapist, pedophile, everything. What ain't he? The only thing we ain't found out is who he killed. He ain't a murderer yet, but he has, because he's killed people because of what he done. What he did in Iran and all this other shit. Like, y'all people remember the Moab bomb in 2017 when he killed that Iranian general, and they vowed to get us back for that. They said they're going to kill John Bolton over that shit. And then as soon as Trump get in this time, what did Trump do? Took a security clearance. John Bolton living in hiding now, scared of these Iranians going to take him out. That's who they voted for. And what's crazy is that we still can use this. Even though that shit is fake and he ain't the president for real, we got to understand those people who do show up in our lives, real people who latch onto it, who want to use it. They think it's funny, or they use it to express their hatred. Those people are still there. So it's still a valuable lesson to be learned in it. But that's what's going on. We have to survive it, or nature has to take over, and some crazy instance, we get this back before, the next election. You know what I'm saying? Because it's crazy. Like, if he makes it 4 years, we won't survive at all. We probably won't even have electricity. Our cities and stuff, they'll be in decay. We'll have all this brand new stuff, but nobody to work. Nobody's wanting to come outside. Nobody, you know what I'm saying? Just striving for survival, living at work. Basically slavery. So that's why voting is important. I mean, they got us with this one, but it's a play from Putin. This is Putin's revenge. So be aware. I love you guys. Go love each other and continue to study politics and read, guys. Freaking read. Peace.